Who am I? The co-writer, creator, and producer of the comic book that is taking the world by storm, Yi Shin, the true-to-life Korean warrior who fended off a massive invasion from the Japanese samurai. He never lost a single battle, and neither have I. I've been endorsed by the best, including the legendary Stan Lee himself. My partner and mentor is none other than celebrated comics creator David Anthony Kraft, who's written everything from Spider-Man and Hulk to Superman and Batman. Over the years, and with his expertise, I have honed and sharpened my skills in all arenas of publishing. My battleground is on the front lines of comic conventions near and far. I've sold over 100,000 copies around the globe, and Yi Shin has now become a powerhouse with over 250,000 copies in print. I command the series that cannot be defeated in battle. I'm Henri Kompan, and you're watching Onward with Onrie. Who am I? At the start of the week, I wasn't sure. It's been a tough month for the world, and none of us have any idea where the silver lining in all this is. What I do know is that as of right now, my only means of bringing Yi Shin to the world has been brought to a dramatic and devastating halt. I was left wondering what my purpose in this new reality is going to be. It became increasingly more difficult for me to find the answers as I plummeted deeper and deeper into news about the latest happenings surrounding the dreaded coronavirus. The internet continues to bombard us with all the updates about how the global economy is spiraling out of control. This is outrageous, and we have no idea how long it will actually last. The start of my week was brutal. I'm dealing with the reality that I'm not going anywhere for a long while. Conservatively speaking, it could be anywhere from 3 to 6 months before any comic conventions are allowed to be held again. I hope that's not the case, but right now, I can't be certain. None of us can. This lowered my spirits, not to mention the number of cases constantly climbing and all of the added speculation. These are no doubt some scary times, victory seekers. And now I'm stuck at home, and I'm responsible for educating my 7-year-old son, who has been switched over to remote learning. That doesn't mean I can just leave him be. I need to make sure that he's doing the work, or else he'll lose the motivation to keep learning. Who am I? Definitely not a school teacher, that's for damn sure. The first day of homeschooling was tough for me. I lost my patience with Max a couple of times, but then I quickly realized that he's in this mess too, and it's affecting him in a completely different way. I think that's the scariest thing about all this. As a parent, I don't want to fail my kid, but in my head, I totally felt like I already did. On the outside, I put on a front like everything was okay, because let's be honest, it really isn't all that bad. But on the inside, I was torn apart. No one could see any of this coming. But let's put things into perspective. As of this very moment in time, roughly 220,000 people have been diagnosed with the coronavirus globally. Nearly 10,000 have died, and over 50% have recovered, and the rest are still open cases. This is bound to change. When you put this all into perspective, you almost want to dismiss the threat entirely. But we can't allow this thinking to detract the overall mission that everyone in the world has enacted upon. We must work together to beat this thing into the ground. My purpose is to bring Yi Shin to the center stage of the world. The fact that I can't do it at the capacity I could before the outbreak has definitely made me feel small and insignificant. I was left feeling helpless and powerless. That was all about to change. On Tuesday, my good friend Michael Wojciechowski, who's been a guest on the show twice now, was going through some very serious shit. He lives with osteogenesis imperfecta and has dealt with pneumonia. His lungs definitely do not function at 100%. He is totally vulnerable to the fatal symptoms of the coronavirus and had just run out of tissues and hand sanitizer and could not find either at local stores. He was beyond frustrated, and who could blame him? As soon as I finished homeschooling, I called up nearly every store and explained my situation. Fortunately, there was a store that was willing to help, and I was able to secure everything he needed. I picked it up and dropped it off at his house, and that put him and his family at great ease. But make no mistake, I didn't save Michael. Michael saved me by helping me realize I now serve a much greater purpose: to help others. It is in times like this when you must do your part to help others in need. And while you're at it, go out of your way to make others feel better too. When someone calls you, talk to them, encourage them, listen to them, and if you have to, vent to them. They can help you just as much as you can help them. Every little positive thing you do right now serves to help encourage others and increases the likelihood that we'll beat this thing sooner rather than later. As long as we're all willing to go out of our way to help others in need, we continuously fortify our integrity. And just because the pause button has been hit on the world doesn't mean that we can no longer make progress. I refuse to give up hope. I've used this time to be creative and have come up with a brand new solid scene for Yi Sun-shin. It has never been easier for me to put myself in the shoes of my characters given what is going on right now. Let's not forget what they were contending with. Back in Korea during the 1500s, Admiral Yi had no idea how any of his battles were going to play out. He could plan all he wanted, but the reality was that it could have gone either way. The scene I just worked up actually doesn't involve Admiral Yi at all. It involves two characters who are in many ways star-crossed lovers stuck in duress. I channeled the emotions I was feeling about our uncertain circumstances and turned it into art. But don't get me wrong, this didn't make me feel better about everything. This still sucks, and by the end of the day, I was wiped out. All the people working the jobs we take for granted are now the jobs we depend on. All first responders, grocery store workers, doctors, police officers, firefighters, garbage men, and even your postmen are out there doing their jobs so that we can get through this. They need our support now more than ever. That really put things into perspective for me. All of the essential workers have to adapt to very strenuous working conditions, and now I had to do the same. I have a very important job to do, and I'm ready to do my part. I'm on a new regiment. I wake up every morning at 6:30 and work out. After that, I drink a liter of water, along with my bulletproof coffee, and then feed my kids breakfast. Oh, and that brings me to something else I noticed that has changed within me. I used to hate when my kids ran around the house screaming. One morning, while I was cleaning dishes, I heard my boys running and screaming and was tempted to tell them to stop like I always do. But then I realized that they needed this, now more than ever.
Run. Be loud and disruptive. Go. Good. Go.
So I flipped the switch and let them go nuts. I let them get all that energy out and allowed them to be kids. Not only that, Max finally learned how to ride his bike without training wheels. If everything was normal right now, I'd be in Kansas City selling comics, and I would have missed out on this very pivotal moment in my son's childhood. While I homeschool Max, I pull double duty and work on Yi Sun-shin while he's doing independent work. As a matter of fact, it's actually helped me really focus. I'm stuck at home with my kids, and they are depending on me to get them through this. My business is at a standstill, but Yi Sun-shin production is still going. As long as I can keep working on the book, I will never lose my purpose in this world. No matter what happens, I still command the book that cannot be defeated in battle. Let's try this again. Who am I? We already know the answer to that, but for now, I'm doing my part as a homeschool teacher as well, and I'm proud as hell of it. My days are committed to my 7-year-old boy who is months away from completing the 2nd grade, and he needs my help to get him there. I will not fail him. I will invest my time into his future. This is not my time to sell books. It is my time to be with my family. And maybe that's what the silver lining in all this is. Maybe this is the time for us to remind ourselves of what's important. Because once things get back to normal, and they will, there won't be time for this kind of stuff. So try as hard as you can to make the best of it. This is the time when heroes are made. So put on your uniform, grab your bayonet, and hit the parade. I'll be back next week with a brand new episode where I will update you on how my quarantine is progressing. And rest assured that I will survive this, and so will you. Remember that we're all in this together, and if we stand together, we'll win together. Now say it with me. Onward to victory!